In this first segment, we're joined by Cynthia Palad Yap. She's the General Manager of Real Estate Movers Incorporated. Hi, Cynthia. Thank you for coming to the show.
Hello. It's nice to be here in your show. Thank you.
Nice to have you here. Oh, it's so important kasi diba, reading the fine print. Most people would gloss over it.
Right.
And then just say na, parang tell the other real estate broker na, okay, actually, pinasa mo na.
Right. That's true. And usually, since this is a very important purchase and at the same time, it's a big purchase, it's not, it entails a lot of money, you really have to go through the contract for your protection.
Even if you have a real estate broker, even if you have a lawyer already.
Yes, that's true. Actually, a real estate broker and even a lawyer can really help you. But at the same time, aside from outsourcing that task, you should be personally involved in reading the contract.
So you can't say, I'm sorry, I have to push it further. You can't say now, well, I have a lawyer and I have my real estate broker. They'll take care of me. That's the fine print. You can't say that.
You have to be involved also, personally.
Okay. So, di ba sa fine print and even yung contract kahit na hindi pa sa fine print, maraming mga detalye doon, very important pieces of information. What are those?
Well, basically, of course, number one, who are the parties involved in the transaction, okay? And then the second one, with regard to the location of the property. For example, if it's a condo, you have to determine which unit number, okay?
Okay.
And then the third one, the manner of payment. Of course, terms of payment, is it cash or will it be installment? And then at the same time, number one, how will the unit be turned over? If it's a resale property, or sometimes in the US they call it secondary market, what will be the turnover condition of the property? Will be it's sold on an as-is worries basis, or will there be specific material specifications involved? Usually in a pre-selling project, of course, diba, you don't see anything there. There are some wherein some buyers are shocked. How come I got this condo unit? I think this is not what I paid for. Probably at the time they were not so involved, or they were not so much aware on the specifications.
Okay.
Of the unit.
Also, di ba, dapat nakalagay, like you said, in terms of payment of taxes,
Yes.
notarial,
True.
even that, no? So, parang this is a list of things that we should look for.
Right. The taxes, ito, my experience, there are some clients, for example, when the unit has been turned over to them, they are quite shocked that there are still other taxes to be paid. Okay? There are some instances wherein the total contract price, for example, in a pre-selling project, there are some developers wherein the total contract price is already inclusive of the taxes involved. Okay?
How would you know that?
It should be
It should be
disclosed on the onset. Okay? Now, for a resale project or for a resale property, secondary market, both the buyer and the seller have to agree on who will pay the taxes. Now, usually based on experience, the seller takes care of the capital gains tax, and then the buyer takes care of the documentary stamp tax, transfer tax, registration fees, and the fees involved in title transfer. However, there's really no condominium unit. We have to get a certification from the association that his condo dues are fully paid. So, based on those different documents, you can easily determine that this is the legitimate owner.
Pero hindi ba sometimes, lalo na dito sa Pilipinas, you have the owner of the property, pero minsan, yung owner of the property is not, yung pangalan, doon sa tax debt, sa tax declaration, hindi yung owner of the property.
Kaya nga,
So,
you have, that's the reason we require all these documents, just to see that the owner is consistent. Kumbaga, whatever is the name which appears in each of the document, it should be consistent.
So what do you do? What would you advise your client if it so happens na yung pangalan dun sa name of owner, pangalan dun sa nagbabayad ng taxes, and magkaiba?
Kailangan pagkapareho. Kailangan, it has to be the same. Otherwise, if there's a inconsistency, nako, I'm not recommending.
You won't recommend the sale?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So what else? Ano pang mga specific information? When it comes to taxes, payment of VAT, that is...
Okay. For pre-selling projects, it's really indicated naman that the VAT, of course, usually this is how they do it for pre-selling projects. Okay, when we say pre-selling, yung first-time sale. Okay, there's a developer involved and then the buyers here. Okay, usually the list price is indicated and then the value-added tax is also indicated there. So, right there and then, the buyer is aware how much he or she will be paying for the property. Okay? So, again, it has to be very specific and everything is itemized.
Okay. Specific and itemized, that goes also for the payment schedule.
True.
So, when you say payment schedule, the date? No,
Yes.
The
The date and then the exact amount which will be paid. And then the manner of payment, will it be, number one, for example, if it's cash, that's very easy. If it's on a per installment basis, will this be covered by post-dated checks?
Nakakatakot yun, ano?
Or
Post-dated.
will this be covered by, for example, manager's check? Usually for pre-selling, most developers require post-dated checks. Here in the Philippines, it just makes collection much easier and documentation easier.
Okay. So, and paano ito, diba, for pre-selling, if we assume that the buyer cannot pay anymore,
Right.
paano yan? Can you get your...
Yun nga eh. Okay, for example, there's an installment schedule and then you were not able to pay those. And then you'd like to back out from the sale. Will you still be able to get your money back? Based on experience, yes, you can get your money back. However, there will be certain deductions. Like number one, administrative charges. Of course, administrative charges, since there are already people who handle your account, accounting, etc. Syempre, those are some fees involved. Number two, of course, marketing fees or the broker's fees, they also deduct that. So, you will still get a certain amount, but of course, less these deductions.
Okay. Di ba sa pre-selling, minsan tumataas ang presyo ng construction, whatever, no?
Yes.
What happens there?
Okay. It has to be very specific now. For example, if there's a particular situation wherein, di ba it happened one time, prices of cement increase, and then prices of steel increase. How will this affect the total contract price, assuming that you are still making installments on the property? There are some contracts wherein it's silent regarding that, which means you just continue paying. So the risks will be handled by the developer. Okay. There are some developers naman na wherein, for example, there's a corresponding increase in, for example, 10%. As reflected in the inflation rate set by NEDA, then there will be a corresponding adjustment to be made. So again, that particular fine print, you have to be very much aware of that.
Okay. There is a what you call a master deed with declaration of restrictions. What is that?
Okay, master deed with declaration of restrictions. For example, buying a condominium unit. It can be a residential condominium unit, an office condominium unit, or even mixed use. Okay. Now, for example, if you're an investor and you intend to rent it out, you have to be aware if this condominium building is strictly office or is it strictly residential, because there are some, they're not aware that in this condominium building, you can have an office, you can have a it can also be converted into a residential condo. So, as far as renting it out, you cannot get a good price on your return on your investment. So, yun. It happened, I think that happened already because the buyer was not aware of the restrictions.